I don't know about you, but I have always been a high achiever person, kind of a driven person. And because I'm a high achiever driven person and kind of task oriented, you might be too, I tend to be a list maker. I tend to write down my list of everything I want to do in the day, pretty long list. And then I even write in the times that maybe if I start this at 8, I can be done with that. So at 8:30, I can do this thing. And then at 9:45, I think I can do this thing. And I have it all organized. And it feels pretty good for a list maker, a high achiever person to just have all these things written down. I'm going to accomplish so much today. And then what happens is my husband throws a curveball at me. He needs me to help me with something, or a child needs some help with something, or someone at church has something come up, and I'm looking at my list like, well, it's booked. It's booked. I don't have time to help my husband or this child. Or does this sound familiar to anyone? It almost becomes an irritation, an interruption in my long to-do list when an actual human being that I love and care about needs me. And so I came to this realization the other day that lists are fine. In fact, I have been pretty much a listaholic my whole life. The kind of person that if you do something that isn't on your list, you go back and write it down so that you have the pleasure of then scratching it out. Yeah, done. Yeah, that was me. I've realized that I need to not be a slave to my to-do list. It's fine to be organized. It's fine to accomplish a lot. It's really fine to be a high achiever and a driven person. We need those kind of people, right? But I can't be a slave to the to-do list. I need to allow people that I care about to interrupt my schedule. I need to pay attention to the people in my life. When I don't do that, when I stay glued to my list, I'm not a peaceful wife. I'm not a loving wife. I'm not a peaceful mom. I'm not a loving mom. And all this kind of reminds me of that famous story, Luke chapter 10, familiar to many of you. 2 sisters, Mary and Martha. Jesus is coming to visit. Martha, the listaholic, high achiever driven person, is just bustling around, getting everything ready, probably all frantic and all that kind of stuff. And her sister Mary sits at Jesus' feet, just listening to him, adoring him. And Martha's like, what? I can't believe it. All these things need to be taken care of, and she's just sitting there. And this is what Jesus says to her in Luke 10, verse 42. He's talking to Martha, and he says, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better. Whew, convicting, right? So in those moments where we have an interruption, maybe what we both need to do in that moment is just consult the Holy Spirit for a moment. Lord, what do you want me to do in this moment? What is your priority for me in this moment? And then how about if we do that thing? I have a feeling all the things on your list will sort of take care of themselves as long as we let the Holy Spirit, interrupt us, give the Holy Spirit the ability, the room to interrupt us. I think everything's going to turn out fine. I am no longer a slave to my to-do list.